Yeah, but things need to change a little bit for Weibo.
Yeah, exactly right. I think the big thing for me is just the discipline and the overreaching, right? There's a very old saying in coaching over in Europe, and it's take the finger, not the whole hand, if you can help it. And there's a very simple reason for it. You go for the hand, you get grabbed, and this is exactly what JDG were doing time and time again to Weibo.
And the thing is, with a champion like Ash, with Light being very accurate with his arrows, it should be easy to look for that finger, look for that first pick, and then just reassess what's happening after that point.
And it's so crucial to me that they play around Light. I mean, even look in their last series, the Misfortune game itself, like, he was so strong. He has consistently been so strong for this Weibo team, but finding ways to enable him have seemed like such a struggle for this team. So they're going to go back to it. They're going to try to find a way around it. I do like some of the particular bans in the Smolder, things like that. Just take some of those insurance cards away from JDG, but this Zeri is maybe just as good.
Yeah, really heavy mid-ban priority in this series so far. The Tristana is still up, but Tristana is not Exodia anymore.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, if Weibo are happy to let Xiaohu's pool go, I would really love to see them go Ivan Realm. I think into JDG right now, they've shown a bit, just off game one and going off previous series, I think just going too far forward, right? If they go to Tristan, that's fine. I would at least still like one of the other puzzle pieces inside of the Realm, inside of the Ivan, and just play a much more front-to-back based composition, which doesn't necessarily involve you diving forward or necessarily involve, you know, basically the entire crux of your team fight being on Bree finding a flank. We do need to see just, again, that disciplined amount of gameplay come out from Weibo.
Rel comes through again. We've talked about Rel being such a big. What was the joke earlier? That Rel is the MVP of LPL
Yes,
Plus, not actually any player, because the champion has been so busted for a bunch of different supports here in the LPL.
This is really nice for Weibo, because now JDG have to pick between AD or support, and in this case, for JDG. Basically, it's just going to have to be the AD. Let Missing soak up a couple of these bans. There's still enough supports to go that they should be all right in that matchup.
We have been treated to rule as Ezreal so much recently. The funny thing is, there is a world skin of Ezreal from his team. It wasn't actually his. It was Haru who played Ezreal jungle back then. He got the Zaya from that year.
About that, yeah.
It was so weird seeing Haru playing in the ERLs for a while after that point. That was a heck of a random place for that. Anyway, but rule as Ezreal, he is one of the real classic players of this. And if he has a front line that can buy up these ultimates, the big engage from the Rel or the Ashe or something like that, he is very, very good at weaving in and out of the gaps before those cooldowns come back up.
I mean, we saw how aggressively he was using the arcane shifts to follow up fights where Weibo were overextending. Gonna have to kind of follow that through a little bit more, but we're in the second phase of bans already. JDG on that red side, they're already banning away the Brand and the Cassante, as is tradition from that first game. While on the other side, we are going to continue getting that supportal focus from Weibo.
Once again, we do technically have the Maokai flex into support or jungle that can be used here. Wasn't used that last time, but I think really when you're looking at top lane blind picks in this kind of matchup, I don't love it, really.
Yeah, I mean, this is surely just Leona now.
How are we feeling about, I know we're going to get to some important, but how are we feeling about the Tristana here?
I mean, yeah, I think it's okay.
I think it's okay.
It is
I saw a little laugh on your face whenever you said
Look,
that, so
it's fine. Xiaohu's going to do
It is a champion that has been locked in this draft.
Yeah,
there you go. That's all we need. That's the analysis we can look for. There's that Leona you talked about.
Jungler, is it going to swap up? We see Sejuani again. I think a more reactive style for Tarzan works. There's the Ivern. I hope it gets locked in and it's not just a hover, because again, I think just taking a much more, you know, reactive kind of state, it's just better games for Weibo.
I mean, we saw this in the draft in the last game. We were wondering whether we would go towards this, and now in this game too, again, you have the Rel on your team. Rel is a shield break champion, good against Ivern. JDG can't use it, and also you can build Mikhails versus Leona and versus Maokai. However, the blind pick top lane scenario is still not awesome for Weibo.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's so sketchy. They end up landing on the cannon, and it means now, realistically, Tarzan's only got, as far as frontliners are concerned, to buff up a Rel, and it's not necessarily the
you're not seeing Xiaohu's just starter, obviously.
But yeah, we'll see how
front line of them all.
We'll see how Weibo, you know, navigate these team fights. I still think, you know, ending up with Breathe on this Kennen is a little bit suboptimal in terms of how I feel like Weibo are going to want to approach fights, or potentially to beat JDG are going to need to approach fights. Again, it puts them on that very high bar of execution. For JDG, it's almost copy-paste composition from game number one, right? It's just a trade-out of Smolder and Zeri.
I really think, again, JDG are looking at this comp and saying, look, frontline's probably going to die by tanking up a couple of skill shots here or two, a couple of the ultimates, but if they allow this timing window for their carries to do some huge work, whether it's the Zeri, which we've seen so much work out of our LPL mid laners from, and then the Ezreal as well, Ruler, one of the best players of this of all time, then this composition works. Might be bad KDA for the front line, but they're doing their job.
And for Weibo, so much pressure. We already talked about it in game number 1. This is a Worlds qualifying series. You would be our 4th seed from the LPL to represent this region at Worlds 2024. And Weibo are right now sitting at a precipice that I don't feel like anybody should be at. 0-8, trying to find a way to, at least 0-7, trying to find a way to stay away from that 0-8 record to finish out the season itself. JDG, they look ready and raring to go. And it has been led off of the 2 carries in Yagao and Ruler. Can Weibo change their tone here on blue side with the Ivern for Tarzan and right back to the double carries? Game 2 starts now.
Took 3 days of practice.
We got it, baby.
Oh, we got there. It's a little bit sketchy. I think, you know, that transition between going from Weibo to JDG, Gyos, you know, a little bit hard on the mind, but that's okay. That's all right. We're here, and we're ready for game number 2. Runes, rune check. Everything looks standard. Don't see anything weird or out of the ordinary. Everything's good.
One difference that we did see in this top lane matchup, though, last time we saw the fleet footwork for Breathe, this time it's the areas. The one thing which can sometimes change the way that you're taking trades. You're a little bit easier to poke out, but you do see some really good early game damage.
And talking about this Weibo team a little bit, unfortunately, approach velocity is going to have to mean missing flashes away from that one with the level 1 coming through from Weibo. This team, up until the finals, was giving us a run that we were really kind of interested at and trying to see if they could actually stay consistent. And it's been a lot about, you know, Crisp having good moments. Xiaohu has been a little bit on the back foot, but really the combination of Crisp and Tarzan, a key piece to the puzzle for Weibo.
Quick, Ivan pathing, go!
Yeah, so this is what's really strange about this invade. Obviously, it puts Kanavi on a very awkward path himself. He's going to be spotted on this water. This is all preordained. This is all planned by Weibo. They want to know where he is. The issue is Tarzan just going to walk up and auto him slowly and get him off the blue buff? Is that the idea here?
Doesn't have red buff, doesn't have smite to contest for the camp. He'd need someone else to come over.
Taz,
that's his one. Does end up seeing him around the corner there. Does have the vision of the bush to play out of. Okay. Well, he's just an Ivy. He's a friend of the forest. He doesn't want to hurt the other forest man, all right? True. Trees blend together.
What's the point of the invade? I mean, it... like, just at surface value right now, we're only 60 seconds into the real game being played. It puts Kanavi off of a full flip, sure. It means he's not going to be bot side quicker. And Tarzan did get to Mark 2 camps, so he's going to have a window, I suppose, where maybe he can walk back into the bottom side and smite away a Gromp. That's like the only thing I can see right now that makes at least somewhat of sense.
And this is, of course, very important for Weibo because Weibo's early game has very much been about Tarzan's early pathing. You can say the same for JDG. If they are aggressive early, it's on Kanavi getting advantages too. So messing around with your early pathing and your level 1s is very impactful, specifically with these 2 team logos.
Yeah, and there's the on the way ping to the Gromp. So it seems like Tarzan wants to walk in, smite the Gromp, and be very happy. And bot side, good trade here.
This little double crash down from Chris. That's the exhaust used.
A very late exhaust. So now Tarzan could very easily smite the Gromp and just set up for the dive.
Looks like that might be the case they want to go for here. Just try to get some advantage for this bot lane. Play around light. That's what we wanted. And here they go. On to Ruler. He's going to flash out. Going to cleanse. Is still going to go down. And it goes to Chris first and foremost. Although Kanavi is making his way down. He might be just in time to try to catch Tarzan. Sapling going to spot him out here. Missing wants to go over as well. A lot of damage. The Bramble Smash. You don't need no damage. You don't need no carries when you got Kanavi and Missing coming up clutch. They were the primary factor in game number 1 to get the ball rolling for JDG, and that ball is rolling all the way. The Light gets one back. That's huge. Now he's able to get away as well, so he gets the trade back, and Light steps up.
Light walks away with double buffs. Light clutches it out somehow. I thought initially that dive took too long and too many turret shots were taken, and JDG could clean up around there, but luckily Light using, of course, the early power of the Ashe with the slows on the auto and everything else to get good value.
So the pathing yields a benefit in the end, and it's that Tarzan gets a free dive on the bottom side alongside Weibo and Crisp after a very poor dive. The execution, pretty flawless. The stun on the end, though, does mean that Tarzan gets chunked out very heavily. The flash away from Tristan advance into the bush is good, but Light also kind of steps away. I think initially not necessarily having faith in the skirmish or the idea that Light can actually put down a lot of damage. If he was there chasing down from the tri-bush at that immediate kind of, you know, group up and cluster, this could have been a very different fight, but what an excellent flash away from this.
Yeah. And what really saves that is the tenacity after you use Cleanse, reducing the root, which allows them to flash out. Genuinely, that's one of those moments where Cleanse tenacity saves the day.
Incredible stuff from Light, who has had a bit of an up and down journey, but you look back to all those years on LNG and you think about the miracle runs, you think about the part he had in it as well, but it's nice to see him against Ruler stepping up himself.
One of the hardest things I think in this postseason has been, in terms of playoffs and everything like that, accurately assessing where Light's been at. I do think that Light has been the unsung hero for Weibo for a lot of this. This is a big fight.
I call that wall the death wall, and we're about to see the namesake come alive here as Weibo, they have overextended. Nice little triple crash down, though, from Chris, trying to separate it, but Yagao steps up, kills Tarzan right out, and now it's a 4v2. Chris is trying to dodge his way out of this one, gets a nice shattering strike back, but gets a double kill over, and now JDG. Oh, nice.
He's level 6 now. He's level 6 now.
He's got it all day long. Xiaohu, the saber tooth of summer, with a triple kill.
Xiaohu was late to the exchange, I think because he was trying to hit level 6, but the explosive bomb lands him a double kill, which gives him the XP for it. Doesn't even need the ult in the end. The damage done alone is simply sending JDG packing.
This early game has been all about the micro that's happening in the fight. Talked about the cleanse earlier. This time here, Yagao, I think he didn't have ult. He didn't have mana for his ult throughout this play too. So watch this again. Yagao using Zeri's Tony Hawk capabilities to get into the fight.
Right.
But watch this. As he uses the dash over, he drops below his ult mana, so he can't get himself that huge first lightning crash. Another fight.
Oh, Yagao caught in the side lane here. 3-man pickup by Weibo. They're going to try to give it over to Light, and they do indeed.
Great pick out of the replay. Unsure exactly how the lane assignments landed like this. Looks like Yagao teleported down there. Looking at the scoreboard, so good early pick. It does mean that JDG will cross-map this for Grubs, and again, Ivern very slow at the early neutral objective taking, so it doesn't even seem like Dragon will be the case here. It's just going to be a couple of camps stolen away on the opposite side, but now it's a dive on the top side to breathe.
Going to try to get this one here. He does have the Slicing Maelstrom available, although we are going to see him get all the pressure from JDG. Nice little juggle so far. He's still surviving pretty heavily, but Flandre does tank it up, and it will end up being Kanavi that gets the kill.
We're just bullying Lightning Rats or something. We're bullying Ruler now.
Ruler's in a lot of trouble. Does have the Arcane Shift, and a nice angle on that one as well. Xiaohu just stepping up to get a little bit of damage there, but some plates going to be under tow for Weibo.
Another thing which happened up here too, Flandre, I think he did manage to use his ult there on the top side. Of course, allows him to get some real good damage on the tower with the extra Q cooldown coming through. So he gets himself a really good amount of gold here. We didn't really get to talk too much about the top lane matchup in the last game in the laning phase style of things. But I think now with a significant lead, Flandre getting towards Merctrez and Machine, he's really happy with the plate gold picked up there. Replay of what happened in this pick on the bot side. We were wondering what happened with the lane assignments. I think basically there was a setup towards Grubs. Yagao didn't really get the memo. Sees a load of people in his lane, and it's lights out from there.
Yeah, I also think because it was Ruler that was the only person that survived that skirmish in the river, if I recall correctly. So he stayed mid. Yagao had to catch a wave mid bot, and that's what puts him in that position. Very easy collapse from Weibo.
Now we had a lot of chaos. We were 12 kills in 8 minutes rather. Math again. But it is super important to think of this is actually leading towards Weibo having a lot of success. They do have a lot of the go buttons. Yeah,
and one thing I love is it's just more bullying out of the spot side jungle. It's not often that you get to see Ivern be used to basically split a map, but Weibo have effectively split this map. There's over a 1,000 gold lead right now between Light and Ruler.
Daisy, Nature's Crash, everything going to be popped. Nice little double knockup from Daisy, will be taken down. And Chance of Crystal Arrow flashed out of, but hits onto Kanavi. Will end up being something that Weibo don't want to follow up on.
Again, another one of these not perfectly set up for fights. Both these teams trying to make sure that they get their damage into the right position. I think when you look at this kind of game, we have a Zeri flying over a wall, a Tristana, Ashe coming out of the Fog of War with an arrow, and the Ezreal also having high mobility. Fight's going to erupt very quickly if you're not certain where everyone is on the map. We were questioning earlier, what the heck's happening with late assignments? If you have Fog of War on, it gets even worse trying to tell that, especially when you're afraid of so much follow-up coming out from the fog, maybe even just like this.
Oh, Xiaohu He might have just stepped into
Great buffer.
his Doom. Does have the rocket jump to get away as well. And I think that's a crucial part to say is that Xiaohu and Light have a lot of say in the early part of this game as well, and it's going to lead to dividends for Weibo's composition.
Yeah, and I also just love being proven wrong. Because, again, the early, like, just at flat face surface value, the early part from Tarzan, other than the fact that it gets in the dive, kind of strange.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's able to continually, because of whether it's Kanavi going up towards Grubs, because of more plays going on bots, so he's just got to react, effectively keep Kanavi out of this bottom side quadrant for a majority of the game. It now means that there's a 1.3 gold lead between Light and Ruler. Ruler's at 58 CS 10 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
It's so rough. And again, just the skirmishing power of Ashe, the skirmishing power of Crisp, and the ability for Tarzan to now also have a fourth member in Daisy just makes it so difficult for JDG to ever really react at all.
If we're going to sit here and take L's, we might as well do that about the Tristana as well, because how good has Xiaohu been on this?
Yeah, you just cast a curse him, man. What do you got to say for yourself? Huh?
Not much, Mazel. Look, okay, Xiaohu, this is the cannon, but really good early game presence from Xiaohu. We thought he was pretty much done this year. For most of this year, ever since last Worlds, he has hit rock bottom in terms of his individual performance. It really took until Ascension Group in this summer, which is most of the way through the year, for him to start recovering and then coming into playoffs again. Really started to wake up. Now 3-0 from the early game on the Tristana. He's really been dynamic at playing this champion and getting involved early. His mobility will be key. I need to see him use this advantage and bring Weibo back to even.
And one of the traditional strengths of Xiaohu is the way that he thinks about the map, his side laning pressure. The Tristana is going to enable that as well, and now trying to also think about the next grub spawn and get that under tow for Weibo.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to give 6 grubs over to JDG, and you'd love to have some for your own side lane plays. Breathe doesn't have teleport, so they have to give that over, though. That kind of sucks. They're getting side lane gold, but I don't like giving over the grubs.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they try to fight for Ruler. He's almost dead there, just to the buster shot. Yagao going over. Oh, he gets away from the enchanted crystal arrow. Now JDG looking to follow it up, though. Chris may be overextending, going to crash down over the wall. The last remaining grub being contested over. See if Tarzan's able to just take that one. Actually looking for the root caller over the wall, and does end up getting one grub for Weibo to the 5 of JDG. TP does end up coming through. JDG a little scary there, but Weibo don't find anything.
If Weibo could have denied those grubs from going down just a few seconds longer, they had such a great teleport angle. It's actually kind of a good thing for JDG that they get out as quickly as they do without losing that much. But Ruler Flash, Yagao Flash, a lot of consequences to that exchange, and now the top side is being pressured heavily. Crisp still has his own.
Breed's coming. There we go. That's the teleport being used.
Yeah, Yagao doesn't have much health, and he's trying to get out, but they've been caught between a rock and a hard place. Chris goes for the engage, slicing Maelstrom over top of it, and Weibo's composition is coming to bear onto JDG. Breed's gonna hide. Oh, he's going to try to get missing. Oh, he misses the Q, still gets him in the end with a double kill for Weibo.
Another game. Kanavi's going to get shut down in early as well. Dies under the turret. Weibo's first 15 minutes have been very good.
And this is just excellent play from Weibo. They don't get to use everything they just used now on the grubs, but they get to use it now for this play on the top side tower. They're going to... Yagao.
He's good. They want to go home. They got money.
All right, fine. But now, the only kind of benefit here for JDG as Xiaohu strips away another tower plate is Flandre just picked up like 4 plates or something really silly off this tower. He's going to get it as well. So it's first blood, solo tower, a bunch of plates. This Nasus is going to be huge.
I think watching back through the last few minutes of play, you can see again the mind games, the domino effect of basically one team saying, okay, well, we can't get the grubs with a clean fight. Let's go get these plates. Well, okay, they go towards the plates, but they can't stay on the map long enough to deny Flandre. You see this play after play after play. Initially, I thought Xiaohu and Breathe would get more value, but Flandre is now ahead in gold. Massive, massive lead to Flandre.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a really nice CS differential in that sideline. It's going to be so difficult to deal with him in that regard unless they send multi-members there.
Now, this is where the game gets fun. Do you want to know why, guys?
Yeah, tell me.
It's Fed ADCs versus Wither.
So break it down. Break it down a little bit. Why is that so impactful?
Yeah, if you're unaware about what Wither does somehow, and, you know, it's totally viable. I'm going to have to hold this point. Ruler.
Oh, no. He stepped back up. He is going to be just fine, though. They're going to take this outer tower and leave this defensive structure in shambles.
Give us the ghost story of Wither versus ADK.
River.
Hello. We don't get to talk about that. Yagao gets to talk about walking into a bush against Breathe. Oh, he's got that Tony Hawk's pro skater right there.
I love Zeri. Could they?
I do too.
Hex Flash.
They still want it. Oh, Yagao, you overstayed your welcome here. And Breathe will claim that kill for Weibo.
It's another series of plays where you can just see Weibo playing the wide map. Xiaohu has a load of gold. He gets down towards bot side. And again, just look at all this dominoes of putting different people into different lanes, using the big power of these early solo laners from Weibo.
Yeah, and I'm loving this because, again, it's just reactionary play. They noticed JDG was starting to bunch up around the bottom side, looking towards something down there to cover Flandre. They will just cross map the top side. So it's just, again, very, very solid play from Weibo, recognizing map states and, again, punishing accordingly where they feel like there's a window to creep into.
I also like that as well. We were just about to talk about winner versus AD carries. It's like, it's so scary. The game will not allow us to talk about that. We might still see something around this dragon.
I'll get to it eventually, don't worry.
This is a first dragon for JDG, would be a second stack for Weibo.
Ruler just cleansed.
Yeah, Ruler in a little bit of dicey situation, but it is JDG who are going to even up that objective focus there. But Weibo, I mean, they've taken all of the outer towers at this point, and this is the bread and butter of this team that we haven't seen over the last 2 best-of-5s.
Yeah, I really think Weibo, in the last series that we've seen, they really, really struggled to line the dominoes up for long enough. They'd have the first couple of plays there. You can see how ambitious they were, particularly around Tarzan and Xiaohu and the way they played early jungle pathing and side lanes. The last couple of series, around about, well, scarily, around about this timestamp, maybe a bit beyond that, they'd make one big misstep and then the dominoes would start actually falling back towards them. That's not how dominoes work, but okay, they start falling back towards them instead, and their best laid plans would be laid to waste, unfortunately, for them. Really good gold lead now, and somehow Flandre, who was really, really fed, almost back to even with Breeze. Okay, that's the matchup that was going well for you. Look at the matchups which are going poorly for you. 1.5k towards Xiaohu, almost 3k towards Light. Very, very different from that last game.
And Light's going to have that Enchanted Crystal Arrow under pocket here to be able to set up a lot of the engages from Weibo, and that's where this kind of concentrated composition where Tarzan going for the Ivern, it just makes it feel a lot more different, a lot more stable as well, where Weibo in game number 1 really needed to be proactive in a lot of ways. As we are going to take a look, though, at the map state here, we don't have any big objectives coming up on either side of things right now, and it's trying to see if Weibo can continue cracking down some of these side lane turrets and get some of that standing gold for themselves, because they have a 4,000 gold lead this early into the game.
Just looking to continue to grow out this lead wherever they can. Tarzan's going to smite that chicken away. They actually
there's the arrow. Kanavi going to be run down by Daisy and Co. as Solar Flare is going to come out missing. Going for the engage, misses the Zenith Blade, now has to walk right back into Xiaohu, but Xiaohu got hit by the sapling. Going to get exhausted there, Redemption coming down as it saves Daisy. 86 health, going to burn, get the shield there as well, but JDG do try to make a play.
Yeah, and you can see right there, that is just shallow enough into JDG's jungle on the side of JDG that they're not afraid of a cannon coming in with a really disastrous ultimate for them as well. Herald summoned in mid lane. Look at how well Weibo are keeping JDG pinned into their base.
Where has this Weibo been? Right in front of our very eyes. Yagao is going to hit that lightning crash, get root called there and slowed down as he will end up burning the flash. The sapling's actually pretty big there from Kanavi.
Yagao is a very fortunate panda that Chris did not right-click him after getting hit by the root caller. Otherwise, I feel like he would have just died immediately. Herald charge was good though, and that chunk out onto Yagao should still secure this mid lane tier 2 on this next wave.
The thing which is really just becoming apparent to me now as well is just how little damage JDG have right now. They need second items on Yagao, and Ruler doesn't even have his first item. Ruler, after having such an incredible first game, can't really control this one. Weibo have shut the door closed, and they have managed to set up enough of a snowball, I think, to roll this one through.
They have so far, and looking to get another tier 2 tower down here for Xiaohu, who is just monstrably ahead. Here comes another arrow. Is Light gonna stop the back of Kanavi right in his place, and Yagao gonna clear up these minion waves as it comes through. Weibo gonna back.
Kanavi's just been the punching bag for Ash Arrows, man. Like,
he's a big tree, man.
2 days in a row. I mean, I guess in archery, you know, if you're in the rural areas, you practice shooting.
Yeah,
it's better to do that than anything else, I guess.
That's what he's used to.
Yeah.
There's no apples here.
No apples.
You know, funnily enough, so I grew up around Sherwood Forest, where Robin Hood's from. Never done archery in my life, somehow. I feel like I've missed out on a huge cultural experience for myself.
I'd say that's a problem.
Get cultured.
Yeah. What do you mean? Wow. Get him playing with the cast.
I'm from the city. You've not done archery before.
Maybe I thought it once or
Maybe
twice.
we'll go out back, we'll practice some archery for you and get you into your namesake there. But it is
Help him out, man.
Yeah, no, we gotta do something for this man. JDG though, they're striking back. They're doing something for themselves. They're getting some of that standing gold from the bounties on the map.
Yeah, the fact that they have objective bounties, obviously a bad thing, but they managed to push out of their base. The problem is, much like we saw earlier in the game, JDG have to nuclear. They have to nuclear everyone. Everyone has to go into the same lane, overload, and get something there. You're going against a really fed couple of AD carries, Tristana, who's great at killing towers too. So even though they don't have the 5 grubs, they're very happy to keep pushing this.
We are on those second items for Terry's on Weibo, so we're going to be able to take another tier 2 tower down here with just their siege potential between Crisp, Tarzan, and Breathe. Been a big factor to this.
Yeah, and I also just want to highlight very quickly Tarzan's itemization, because typically you would see Redemption into Moonstone in more neutral games. This time around, it's a Mikhail's adaptation second. As I might have to hold that point. Tarzan could be in a bit of trouble here.
Could be quite useful now.
Yeah, I mean, JDG want to pull a trigger here, but look at Breathe. He's got a heck of a flank here if he wants to go in. He's going to close the door, and he goes right in. As Weibo, they are desperate for their first win here in the last little bit, and they want it so badly. It's going to be a couple kills going to Way of Light, but Xiaohu is coming forward with the flash. He wanted to get Ruler. Not going to find him in the end, but Weibo are dominating.
There we go. Finally have one of those million Volt ultimates out of Cannon, and it makes a huge, huge difference. Weibo, they have yet to find themselves a win on this arena stage. 0-3 in the finals, 0-3 in the first round of regionals. Right here, they went down 0-1, the JDG at the start, but great series of fights puts them into the advantage.
What I love is it's just a readaptation of the picks that we got in that game number 1. It's realizing what went wrong and trying to fix it in game number 2.
I don't want to be that guy.
Be that guy.
Tarzan on Ivan. Only shown it like once or twice, but he's pretty damn good in it. And I just think the mindset that Weibo are in right now is just beneficial to them to be running a reactive jungler at this moment in time. This flank from Breathe just excellent.
And I really think when we've been seeing these games so far, the big playstyle that's been winning has been absorb the initial engage, fire back. I think Ivan is so good at that. Daisy makes it really difficult. The Redemption stops the first pick of single target CC. It's really nasty.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be a salesman for a second. The only other champion I can think of that is maybe actively as good at those kind of neutral standoffs is Shen. No one plays it.
Oh no, that's forbidden knowledge.
It is forbidden knowledge, but you know, again, I've got like a trench coat for these days.
Okay, so you've got that. I've got.
In all fairness, I will say, fully inspired by LS. And the Shen jungle pick is actually fantastic.
I've got what, if we're on the topic of cooking, one last thing. If you see the Ivan, I really think Serpent's Fang Zyra Sounds Troll is actually pretty good at cutting through shields.
Gosh.
Just saying, putting that out there.
Let's
get
these
this salesmen out of my casting booth. Come on.
But to recenter ourselves, Weibo, massive gold lead, almost 10,000 gold in the lead right now. Frankly, I just don't know what JDG can do. They're still a mile away from a lot of their very potent item spikes. Ruler's not even hit that 2-iron mark himself yet.
Oh, another root caller lands as well. The clapback from Weibo from game 1, well, after all of their loss streak has been so powerful. I'm glad that they have been able to recenter and get themselves into a first time, getting themselves into a winning position.
And that's just got to be a huge weight off their shoulders in some regard. Obviously, still a lot of weight with the last Worlds ticket for LPL on the line. JDG, they're going to pull the trigger on some of their ultis. Solar Flare went a little bit wide, but the rebuttal from Weibo is going to be potent. Xiaohu's taking a mid inhib. The siege is going to continue down here for Weibo.
It's a death by 1,000 cuts. The whole game has been when JDG group up, Weibo split, they take turrets, and now they've got so much gold. Doesn't actually matter. JDG have not been able to defend anywhere on the map.
They're trying to pull a JDG from game number 1 and just end on one fell swoop. They do have multi-waves coming in. The Baron buff still on alive for 50 seconds here. They just need to find one kill, one opening, as the first turret will end up falling. They still have a few minions here, but looks like the siege is going to recontinue as this second wave comes through.
And the Super's coming in through the mid lane as well. This should be game. JDG have to pull the trigger now.
They are going to. One last ditch ever, but Kanavi's already down. The general at the front has been taken out, and now JDG, they might be raising that white flag for game number 2. After so long, 7 games in a row of devastating losses, Weibo have woken up.
The loss streak is broken. Weibo find themselves their first win in the arena, and we go to 1-1. No 3-0s today, gentlemen.
Thank goodness. That's a breath of fresh air to me, as we gotta have a contested game for the last series.
Hey, Dagman. I know you're watching. We don't only have 3-0s, 2 days in a row. We've got them going, but this is massive for Weibo, right? Confidence has to be now through the roof. They know what it's like, again, to take down a Nexus as they go 1-1 in this series.
And look, we're deciding our last seed for Worlds here, folks.
Yep.
This is so important. Seeing Weibo fall to that kind of loss streak and that kind of deficit in game 1 as well, that wasn't great for me looking at this team and saying, well, you know, if we send this team to Worlds, how we feel. Games like this make me feel so much more confident that they can take this loss streak, reset, and come out with actually a very impressive game macro-wise.
It was really about utilizing the strength that we've been wanting to see them utilize. Play around light. Well, they did that. Xiaohu was able to dissect the side lanes consistently, and it just felt like much more the Weibo that we had been expecting in the finals, in the last series, and in these regional qualifiers. But that is going to be it for our game number 2, but we do have a series on our hands, fellas. We're going to send it to break. We'll be back with game 3.